Alright, let's talk about users and authentication. Junos supports three methods of authentication: local password authentication, radius, and TAC-ACS+. With local password authentication, you can configure users with local passwords that allow them to log into the device. With radius and TAC-ACS+, users are validated when attempting to log into the device, with a separate authentication server elsewhere on the network or on a remote network. We don't need to go into detailed specifics on radius and TAC-ACS+ configurations for this video series, but we will talk a little bit more about them in the next series. And we're going to talk a little bit more about local password authentication here. Let's just walk through setting up a local user here. So first what we need to do is get into the system login hierarchy. So let's type in edit system login, and just remember that when you're actually just trying to get into the hierarchy of a part of the configuration, use the edit command. And if you see your prompts are going to change there, and it's going to say edit system login. So the first thing we're going to do here is define a new user and his permission class. So we're going to use the command set user, and then we're going to say John, and his class is going to be super user. Alright, now next we're going to define the full name of his user. So we're going to set user John, we're going to say full name, I'm going to say John Smith is his name in quotation marks. Alright, now we're going to set the authentication or the password. So we're going to issue the command set user John authentication, and we're going to do plain text password because this is a locally authenticated user. It's going to ask for the password. So we're going to set the password here. It's going to ask us to retype it. Alright, now we have a single local user configured here, and we can look at this configuration just by typing in the command to show where we're at in the hierarchy. This is going to say that we have a user. The username is John. This user's full name is John Smith. We see that his class is super user, and we see that his authentication is set. So we know that we have a local user set up to use here. With radius and TAC-ACS+, there are a few more steps as far as setting up connection to the external authentication server, but there's not a whole lot more to do than that. So in this example, we assign the user the class of super user. Let's take a look at creating our own custom security classes because this is an option in Junos. We can actually define a class. Instead of super user, we can define a class with specific permissions that we want to allow a given user. And this can be used when you have different groups of people that are responsible for different parts of a device's configuration. For instance, security. We can create a login group for these people that give them access to only the security related portions of the configuration on a device. So let's take a look at that real quick here. So we're going to exit out of the system login hierarchy, and we're going to issue the command set system login, and we're going to go into class, and we're going to create a new class name here. And we're going to call it security_group_1. Alright, now we're going to issue the command permissions, and at this point it can be a little tricky, and if you look at the top you can see a little bracket bar. Okay, you actually have to use the bracket bar here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the bracket bar here, and if you hit the question mark, it will give you a list of all the different things that you can specify here in this section, and there's actually quite a few options. So we're going to say configure, and as you notice we still have more options here. So we're going to say security, and we're going to give security control, and we're going to give this group of users access to view the security configuration. And then we're going to issue this space and then another bracket. And that's how we end the command to actually create and assign the permissions to a new security login class. Now let's go ahead and enter the command edit system login. Just get back to the hierarchy here. And we're going to issue the command show. And now you can see that at the top there we have our class's custom class of security group 1. And we have our permissions. So now we can actually create new users, and instead of specifying class as super user, we can specify the class of security_group_1.